The city's skyline shimmered beneath the night sky, towers like polished blades against the moonlight. In the highest floor of Cross Tower, Lucien stood before the glass wall of his office. The lights around him cast a soft glow over his silver hair, the dangling black onyx crescent in his left ear catching a shard of light whenever he shifted. He traced the earring briefly with his fingertips. It was no longer just a symbol of his family's tradition, but of the battles he had chosen to shoulder. The door opened behind him. Adrian entered, his voice steady but edged with concern. The reports came in. Voss has changed tactics. He's stepping back from the market war and moving somewhere else. Lucien turned from the window, his crescent-shaped eyes sharpening as they met his cousin's. "Where?" "Closer," Adrian replied. "He's going after the people around you." Lucien was silent for a heartbeat. His mind ran through names, allies, employees, old friends, the subtle weight of responsibility pressing against his chest. "So he finally decided to play dirty," he said at last, his tone as calm as a blade resting in its sheath. Far across the river, Damien Voss leaned back in a leather chair inside his own tower. On the desk before him lay a neat spread of dossiers, faces, names, and connections that formed a web around Lucien Cross. Damien's fingers tapped twice on one photo, a small, satisfied smile forming at the corner of his lips. "If you can't shake the air, then shake the ground beneath him. Everyone has a pressure point." In another part of the city, Vivian Hale sat in her office long after the staff had left. The glow of the desk lamp softened the steel of her expression, but her eyes were shadowed by something she couldn't quite suppress. Damien's latest moves weren't about outmaneuvering a competitor, they were about breaking a man's spirit. She told herself this was necessary, that she had chosen the winning side, yet her hand hesitated over the phone. On her desk lay a folded note Lucien had sent her weeks ago, its few carefully chosen words haunting her. "Principles decide who lasts." She pressed the note flat against the desk as if to silence it, but the memory of Lucien's measured voice lingered. Meanwhile, Lucien and Adrian pored over the newest reports in the Cross Tower's private strategy room. Charts and data scrolled across the screens, but Adrian's attention kept flicking to his cousin's expression. "They've targeted some of your former colleagues, investors you once advised. Damien spreading rumors about their loyalty. Some of them are panicking." Lucien's eyes remained fixed on the data. "Let them panic. Fear clouds reason. We'll offer them calm waters when the storm rises. That's how you win the trust that lasts." Adrian gave a wry half-smile. "You sound like the old man these days." "Grandfather's lessons were never about the market. They were about people," Lucien replied. The next day, the city's business circles buzzed with whispers. A mid-sized logistics company, one that had partnered with Lucien's venture after his resignation from Heir Enterprises, suddenly faced a string of anonymous lawsuits. Reporters were fed with leaks implying that Lucien's strategies had left his partners exposed. Stock prices wavered, faith began to tremble. In a quiet cafe away from the glare of the market, Lucien met the company's worried director. The man was anxious, almost ready to abandon the alliance. "They're saying you set us up to fail," the director said. I can't risk the board pulling out." Lucien stirred his tea with unhurried calm. "If I meant you harm, would I be sitting here offering you a way forward?" His eyes, sharp and crescent-shaped, met the man's eyes. The director hesitated, then nodded slowly. Lucien had neither raised his voice nor made grand promises, yet the quiet certainty in his words settled the man's doubts. It was in moments like this that the Cross Heir showed why he could stand against storms. That evening, Adrian brought fresh intelligence. "Damien's running out of subtlety. He's trying to drag some members of the Cross board into his circle, offering them backroom deals." Lucien finally allowed himself a faint smile. "He is aiming at the wrong fortress. The old guard will hear him out, but they know I've already proven my worth. Let him spend his energy." "Still," Adrian warned, "they'll keep testing you. This is the family tradition you wanted to face, remember? Being out in the world was just the first step. Winning their recognition is another. Lucien nodded. That's why I'm here. In her own tower, Vivian attended a dinner hosted by influential financiers. She wore her usual composed smile, yet behind it her thoughts were unsettled. Damien charmed the guests with his eloquence, speaking of innovation and bold moves. But when his tone turned sharp and dismissive as he mentioned Lucien, Vivian's fingers tightened imperceptibly around her glass. She said nothing, but her mind flicked back to the quiet steadiness with which Lucien had once carried setbacks. There was no bitterness in his words, only a dignity she had dismissed as weakness. As the dinner ended, she lingered at the balcony overlooking the glittering skyline. The cool breeze stirred a strand of her hair across her face. For the first time in a long while, she wondered if she had chosen the wrong partner in this war. The next morning, the headlines reported an unexpected development. One of Damien's close allies in the financial sector had pulled out of a joint project, citing strategic reassessment. The ripple unsettled Damien's camp, though he brushed it off publicly. But in private, his expression hardened. "Cross is steadier than I thought," he muttered to himself. "Fine, then we'll hit where it really hurts." In the quiet of his office, Lucien reviewed the day's reports. Another fire had been put out, another rumor had failed to stick. He closed the folder and let his gaze drift toward the window, where the city lights shimmered beneath the night. The reflection of the crescent earring glinted faintly. It was a reminder of the family's tradition, to leave the shelter of their fortune and prove themselves in the world before returning home as true heirs. He thought briefly of his grandfather's words, "The heir who stands unbroken under pressure is the one the Cross name deserves." Adrian entered with a final update for the night. "Most of our partners are holding steady. The few who wavered are coming back after seeing you stand firm. Damien's campaign is losing ground." Lucien nodded. "Good. Then we hold our course." Adrian hesitated. "You do know Damien won't stop here. He'll look for something more personal." Lucien's gaze drifted once more to the dark skyline. "Then we'll be ready. I've faced worse storms." The night deepened, the city lights burning like distant stars. Far away, Damien prepared his next move, while Vivian lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if the choices she had made were about to cost her more than she had ever expected.
Thank you for sharing this chapter with us at Velvet Chapters Brew. Comment, like, and subscribe to see where the next page takes us.